blame Democratic leadership for this activist Supreme Court that we have in effect today. Let me give you some details as to why they are an activist court. Number one, they ended precedent when it came to Roe v. Wade. So now states can do all kind of weird things with women's bodies and interpret laws and however they want and see fit. The big government getting involved in women's uteruses is disgusting. But Republicans say they hate big government, but whatever. We all know that's a fucking lie. On to another thing that this activist court has conveniently ended. They ended affirmative action. They ended affirmative action for college admissions for minorities, essentially. I mean, now colleges can just go to admitting however and whoever they want. Yes, it could affect things in the short term, but in the long term, I think some laws will be passed across the country as far as state laws is concerned to help mitigate any of the discrimination that may occur. Now, another thing they struck down was Biden's loan forgiveness program. $400 billion loan forgiveness program is going to be out the door now. So all of these millions and millions of people that was being helped by something, one of the rare things that Biden did that was good in his term, is help out these millions of people with this forgiveness program. And I think it was awesome. But now the Supreme Court, of course, a conservative-leaning Supreme Court, decided 6-3 on the decision to end that. So now that is going to suck for Biden when it comes to his re-election campaign, because I know for sure his team was depending on one of these things, this news, to be on the positive side of things. So now that that's out the door, he's going to have to figure out how to do something else and to win the favor of the people, because he's kind of already lost the people. Now, another thing that they conveniently ended, or opened the door, I'm going to say they ended. They opened the door to something that kind of went under the radar. So down in North Carolina, some lady that owns a business or something sued for the right to basically discriminate on same-sex marriages for her business, selling to them. And she used, religious, quote-unquote, religious reasons. And the Supreme Court, backed her. Again, conservative-leaning Supreme Court backed her in her decision. So now, with that decision, that opens the door for any business across the country to say, no, I don't want to sell to same-sex marriages because it's against my religious right or my religion, whatever that religion is. Or, they could just make it up and just say, no, I don't like, same-sex marriages, so I don't like it personally. So now I can just discriminate on these people by just using the cop-out of my religion. So Supreme Court opened the door for that. Now, that can also open the door for more perverse things, like going back to the 60s and 50s. Like, hey, I don't want to serve to blacks anymore in my establishment, or brown folks in general in my establishment. They could just twist this in so many different ways. That's why when you do precedent like this, it can be twisted, bended in so many different ways with states that are looking to further oppress people. So that sucks. Here's a good thing that they actually did. Yeah, I know it's a lot of bad stuff, but one good thing that they actually did, and that was they basically saved democracy. So, basically, long story short, without getting into any minutia of the details, states were trying, conservative states, of course, who gerrymander and draw up, district maps, voting district maps, however they see fit. They basically sued for that right. And the Supreme Court struck that down, which was great because, man, now if you get to the point where you could gerrymander through oblivion, shape voting districts however you see fit, change officials however you see fit. I mean, now you're talking about some Trump-level corruption shit going on when it comes to the intakes of votes and things of that nature. So the fact that they didn't allow that was like a bridge too far for them. Like, okay, we don't want to end democracy, but, we have to strike this down. So, I think they had one opposing vote, Justice Gorsuch, I think it was, that voted in favor of, but everyone else was like, no. So that's kind of the list of things just right off the top that I thought of that is just very activist like. When you have a Supreme Court, usually they don't like to step in front of precedent. But this court, man, they don't give a damn about precedent. They are very, very personal in their opinions and their beliefs. But they all love corporations, though. I tell you that much. Anything that's corporate leaning is probably going to win 99.9% of the time, unfortunately. So that's one thing that they all have in common. Even the liberal, quote unquote, leaning, they're going to do the bidding for those corporations. That's just the way it is. So when it comes to corporate rule in this country, the Supreme Court is all in favor of that as well. So yeah, man, tough times when it comes to the highest court in the nation. They're an activist court, and this is just the beginning of a lot of precedent that we've come so accustomed of in our lives being ended.